Hey, y'all.
What up, y'all? And welcome to the Birth Squad podcast. If you've been riding with the squad,
hey, fam.
And if you're new,
welcome to the squad.
We're your hosts, Dr. Ijeoma Okwandu and Dr. Kimeshia Thomas, two licensed obstetricians and gynecologists, as well as best friends.
We use real stories to educate about pregnancy, birth experiences, reproductive health, and all things in between.
And while we hope you love learning about our podcast, it is not intended to be a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your healthcare provider for your specific care.
So to learn more about us and for more information, please visit our Instagram at The Birth Squad and our Twitter at _The Birth Squad.
Please keep in mind that the following episode may cover topics that could be triggering to some individuals. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the last episode of the podcast for season 1.
I can't believe we're here.
Friend, we did it.
We did it. It was a long road, but we did it.
12 whole episodes, 11 amazing guests.
Yes.
I mean, the stories, the journeys that were shared, it was just amazing.
And I think what's so funny is that wasn't what we planned. That wasn't our intention. Like, I was like, we're just going to do 6 or 8. But so many people in the squad, like, there were so many stories that just needed to be told. And so many people of our friends, our family reached out to us because they wanted to help other people to have an amazing birth experience. And that we're just so thankful for. So thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you to all of our guests for, being so vulnerable and sharing your stories and helping us learn and helping us just continue to teach others as well. So Kimmy, how do you feel? I mean, it's been a long,
Tired.
It's been a lot. Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
I think, this is new for us. We never did podcasts before. I didn't even have an Instagram, right? I still don't have an Instagram, working on it. Yeah. So I think it was such a huge learning curve.
For sure.
What about you? How do you feel?
I feel good. I mean, this is what I've dreamed about, right?
Yes.
This is the sugar or the frosting of our job, the teaching, the stories. I mean, the reason why I'm so fascinated with obstetrics, I think started when I used to watch the show.
I didn't know I was pregnant.
Yes, I didn't know I was pregnant. I'm still looking for that show on DVD. So if anyone has a plug, please send it my way.
Let's not age ourselves by saying DVD. Okay.
Whatever, online, whatever. I'll take it in any form. But yeah, that show was so fascinating. And so I think in some ways that's what really brought me to obstetrics and, what brought me to this podcast as well, just sharing stories, because I think that, yes, pregnancy is a very common occurrence, but it is a unique occurrence. Each and every different pregnancy is unique.
Yeah. And I think, besides being tired, I'm also very proud of us because we started this conversation last May. And the fact that we have been able to accomplish as much as we have in a year is amazing. And I think I can't even imagine doing it with anybody else. I wouldn't have done it with anybody else. I already know that.
I know. We've been riding together since 2005. Till the wheels fall off, girl.
My God. Yeah. I think, when one of us would get tired, the other person would motivate them, be like, we can do it. Let's record. Like, we're in different time zones, right? I'm on the West Coast. You're on.
And we got full-time jobs.
Full-time jobs. And we are really putting our best efforts into producing something that we feel so passionate about. So definitely proud. Now, tell me this.
Okay.
Besides, how do you feel? How would you describe this season if you could in a single word?
I would say inspiring.
Okay. Tell me more.
I'm inspired by the grit, the
Mm-hmm.
resilience,
Mm-hmm.
also the vulnerability
Yes.
that the people that were featured on our podcast this season shared.
Yes.
And so it inspires me to have grit, to be open and vulnerable, and own my story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever story that might be, and helping other people learn something from my lived experience, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what they all did for us. What
Mm-hmm.
about you?
I would probably say surprising. I didn't realize when we first set out on this path how much of a difference we could make. And, you know, people come up to me like, oh, I heard your podcast. I really enjoy it. Patients, right, have found us through this, and really enjoy the stories that we are sharing and the information that we are providing. My mom the other day was like, I took notes. I took notes on your
Oh,
most recent podcast.
oh,
And she's like, I'm gonna
mama.
have to get your script definitions because it was going too fast. I missed some of it because people are just that engaged. So that was what was like very, very surprising to me, but also very rewarding.
Right. That's nice. Okay, so what's something new that you learned? I mean, I know we're obstetricians and gynecologists,
Mhm.
but is there anything that like from this season, from the people that we interview that like you learned something new?
Oh, Aparna's story, definitely. Like her what people don't realize is that her actual interview was like an hour, and it was just like so interesting. I just remember listening to her talk, being like, I'm getting the best lecture ever. And it really helped me feel more confident about my advice to patients with anxiety, with depression, who are pregnant, who are breastfeeding, because we learn it a little, but not to the level and degree that she talks about it. But that's weird
Yes.
line of first line of defense. Like patients are going to talk to us about it. And so her providing all that information was just so important and so meaningful. And I just enjoyed it. Like just
Yeah, it was bomb.
it was so interesting.
Aparna was spreading that knowledge.
Yeah, part of
Okay.
it's because we're nerds, right? So we were just like, oh my God, tell me more, right? But what about you? What was something that you learned from this season?
You know, actually, it was Samantha's story that I learned something new about how you could actually get like muscle therapy or muscle interpretation about your pelvic floor muscles.
Yes.
I've been used to it being done manually by an obstetrician or gynecologist that like tells you your level of strength, but to know that it could actually be done in a more objective way was very cool. So that's something I learned.
What about quotes? What are some quotes that stand out to you? I know I have one.
I just have one.
Okay.
That comes to mind, like top of the mind. And it was episode Renisha's story.
That was mine. Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything is possible.
That is exactly what I was going to say.
In Henny we trust. Yes.
That was mine.
Yes. That was hilarious.
Like literally cracked me up. That's when I knew I was like, this is going to be fun. Like that was when I learned it. Episode 1. That was so
right out the gate.
Yes.
Yes.
That's so funny. What about inspiring? You know, we had a really good time with a lot of our guests, but who do you think like inspired you the most? Again, I already know who mine is.
Okay. I have 2.
Okay.
Number 1 was my sisters.
Oh, that was cute. That was
yes. You know, I was inspired by her being able to get through a situation that she was not expecting, and how she was able to pivot and just go through the situation, but also still having quite a bit of hope, right? For her second pregnancy and desire to have a VBAC. And I am proud to say that she actually did have a VBAC.
She did.
A vaginal birth after a C-section.
Yes.
Yay. I was so proud of her. I actually had the privilege of being there with her for that delivery. And man, when I tell you that girl is strong, I saw the determination in her face, and it was the most inspiring, beautiful. It brought tears to my eyes.
I'm sure.
It really did. It really did. Yes.
So who's your second?
Sasha's episode also,
that
Sasha's
was
story.
mine.
Yeah. Why was it for you?
I know Sasha through you, but I had no idea that had happened to her. And for her to be able to have gone through something that was like so unimaginable, and then to come out of it and like still be able to overcome that. Like even when we interviewed her, she was like, I don't feel ready to talk about it, but I'm going to do it anyway. That bravery and that honesty, like I was just like in awe of her. And I felt like her episode was just so powerful.
Yeah, she kept it 100.
Yeah.
She was like, I was miserable during pregnancy. And
yeah,
that's my truth.
And people need to hear that. So
Yeah.
I really, really appreciated Sasha's story, like so much.
Okay. Do you remember your most memorable description of a contraction by one of our guests this season?
Like for whatever reason, because like everybody, when we're at work, everybody talks about contractions all differently. So it doesn't, like, nothing really stands out to me. A lot of people I would remember say, oh, I thought I had a real high pain tolerance. And what about you? Do you have a description that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, I think it was Sasha. She painted a picture. Okay.
Oh, she did. You're right.
She was like, it felt like there was an explosion of lava, just like simmering through my back and down to the front. And I was like, girl, hot lava?
Yes,
Lord,
I remember that. You're
that
right.
is intense. So yeah, that was definitely a favorite description or a most memorable description of a contraction.
So, we're at the end of the season. I would say, it's not the end of the podcast, just the end of the season, right? What do you think how do you think the podcast has changed, or has it, your job in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely. It has changed the way I do my work. I always knew the importance of education, right? In the office or in the hospital. But doing this podcast has helped me have like just way more metaphors and analogies of how to easily explain things to people. And in many ways, I'm learning more too, right? Because a lot of the experience that people have with their physicians is through the way they communicate. And this episode or this whole podcast has really helped with how I communicate with my patients and connect with them and hear their stories too.
Yeah. I think when I talk to patients and I mention it occasionally, like sometimes patients will say something that I'm like, wow, I just talked about this on the podcast. So, I'm not over here like forcing it on people, but when a moment arises for that, I mention it, they're just so in awe, right? Like they're just so impressed and excited and happy. And I recently saw a patient that I had delivered like almost 6 months ago. And we were talking about like mental health. And I told her, there's a great episode. Like I have a podcast, I'm not trying to advertise, but hey, and there's someone like a reproductive psychiatrist who literally talks about this. And because she was really worried about, like didn't want to be on meds, which is understandable. That's not the option for everyone. But I was like, if you're ever interested, there's this great resource. And it just feels nice to be able to tell people that, to be able to say like, hey, I know you're going through something, and to be able to provide them with reliable and accurate information. Because I think what we really strove to do in this season is break things down, right? Give context. What does that word mean? How is that process related? Why did they choose to do this? And provide evidence-based medicine for why we make these decisions, right? We try to give you a few papers that you could read. We're not trying to bog you down with the data, but
yes,
we want people to know, like, we're not just pulling these opinions and these definitions. It's not unfounded, right? So I think that is really what has changed, is that I can provide people with a resource and a way that they can engage with information in a different way that's maybe more enjoyable to them,
Well said, friend. That's so true. So what are you most grateful for?
I'm most grateful for a break. I'm joking.
Ha ha. We get back to work, girl.
I'm grateful I did it. I really, really am grateful that I did it. And I'm grateful that I did it with you, because like I said, I don't know if I could have really maintained it or continued it with anybody else. Like, I feel like what people don't realize is that you were the driving force. Like, before we even started this, you would send me podcasts on why podcasts are important, right? Why you should listen to podcasts. Because
I love a good podcast.
I don't listen to podcasts. Like, that's not my medium. I like to read. And so I really am grateful that I was able to do this with you, because I know, like, it literally would not have been done any other way.
I am grateful for you for partnering with me on this journey. Seriously, because, I always say this, but like, you were my partner in crime since college.
It's college.
I'm a doctor
in high school, right?
Yeah, but I'm a doctor a lot due to you. Like, we did pre-med together.
Yes.
We studied together to the ends of the night.
Mm-hmm.
We just we planned out our lives literally and how we got here together.
Yes.
So it's funny, like, yeah, you were my, my partner from in college and this journey to medical school. And then, residency, medical school, we just have to do the work, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then now things have settled. Yes, we are, in many ways, we have arrived. we're at the destination that we were trying to go to.
Yeah.
But now we've reconnected.
Yeah.
With a common purpose and goal. So I'm very grateful for you, Kimeshia, for being part of my squad, my co-captain.
Yeah.
The birth squad.
So then what's next, friend?
What's next? Season 2 is gonna come through. Okay. Yes.
Oh my God.
Surprise. There's gonna be a season 2.
Yes.
But yeah, we're going to continue to interview more people about their birth stories, experts.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear from us about some interesting topics.
Mm-hmm.
And, we also want to hear from you. What do y'all want?
What do you guys want? We can keep doing the same thing that we did before in season 1, but we could also
mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up. And so engage with us, interact with us on Twitter, on Instagram. You can email us. Let us know what you want to hear for season 2. We can interview you. Like, you are a part of our squad. We would love to hear your stories.
Yes. I love it. Any last words?
No, just thank you again, because I really enjoyed this experience. And I want to also say thank you to Sierra, because her episode was really great and inspiring, but she also really helped us a lot with the Instagram. So if you guys loved what we were doing on Insta, that was in large part due to her. And, thank you to our friends and our family for always supporting us and giving us feedback and advice.
Yes. And thank you to all of our guests for being featured. Renisha's story, Oni's story, Sierra's story, Samantha's story, Brittany's story, Sasha's story, Jess's story, Leticia's story, Aparna's story, and Brandon's story. We appreciate you, and we want to say all of your names because you came on this show and you shared your heart, your story, and you were vulnerable. So thank you.
And so interact with us any way you can. We would love, love, love your support.
Yes, and we will definitely include our Instagram, our Twitter,
Mhm.
and our email address
Definitely.
in the episode notes. But we are on Instagram as The Birth Squad, on Twitter as _ The Birth Squad,
Mhm.
and on Your Birth Squad at gmail.com.
Yeah. So, interact with us, engage with us, tell us what you want to hear. But most importantly, please share this resource with your squad, because
Yes.
at the end of the day, our sole purpose is to make your birth experience what you want it to be. And we want to empower you in any way we can.
Yes. All right, friend.
All right.
Well, that was the wrap up for season 1. Can't wait.
Well, y'all, thank you for listening to the Birth Squad.
We're going to continue sharing stories from more badass birth warriors, because at the end of the day, you are the experts.
Remember, as you navigate your healthcare journey, that you are beautiful, you are brilliant, and you are brave.
We at the Birth Squad would love to hear more from you. Tell us what topics you'd want to hear more about. Hit us up on Instagram at The Birth Squad and on Twitter at _ The Birth Squad. Most important, make sure to share this episode with your squad. Until next time, I'm Dr. Ijeoma Okwandu.
And I'm Dr. Kimeshia Thomas. Peace, love, and solidarity from the Birth Squad.